we're live, we're live.
Yay!
Woo-hoo-hoo. Do let us know if you can hear us. We are hoping that you're there. There are a few people, I think, that are there. That's the plan anyway. How is everybody? I've got a bit of a sore throat today. Still feeling sorry for myself. Still grumpy.
I found us.
You found us. Well done. So
Yeah.
that means you can see the comments in the chat now.
Not yet.
Can't have everything.
Okay, I'm gonna post one, but I'm just in as me, not
That's
as.
fine. That's brilliant. We can have a look then, and people can chat to you, which should be nice.
There.
So yeah, if you're here, say hello along with Barbara, who has just said hello, which is fabulous. We've just got to wait for the lag to stop lagging, and then we are away. Yay, yay. Oh, I've just got a little an email telling me that I'm live, which is really helpful. Barbara, you put a kiwi fruit in.
Yeah, why not?
You're mad.
I'm not mad. I just
So
like
we
it.
might have extra people joining us on catch up. I know Carmela said she was joining on catch up. That's brilliant. So if we do a live and it's at a time that you know that you can't make, just make sure that if you've got any questions, you write them underneath the live, and then we can make sure that we address those during the live, and then you can catch up on it later. And it means that and give us a little bit of time, hopefully, to ask any extra questions that we've got. Yeah, stuff.
So I almost outed myself.
Go on.
Well, I wanted to ask, what interesting platform is Catch Up?
Give me strength. Give me strength.
But then I realized
I'm not even.
I didn't do it. See how smart. I didn't out
Not
myself.
even going to dignify that with a comment.
But I almost asked you this. I was momentarily in cyberspace. Okay, so we're talking today about. I still don't see any comments. Is anybody there? Anybody out
We
there?
haven't had anybody live commenting yet. There are people there, but we haven't got any comments just yet.
Please share some fruit. What's your favorite fruit? Maybe it's a banana. Don't post bananas because I'm allergic.
Are you actually allergic, or I thought you just didn't like
No,
them?
I'm not
You
allergic.
just don't like them.
I kind of emotionally allergic. I go,
Yeah.
unless they're slightly green.
Yeah. So when you come over, I won't fill the fridge with bananas. Or
Don't you dare.
Not supposed to.
No
Be
bananas.
funny, wouldn't it? It'd be hilarious. Tempted.
And
Anyway,
please, no bananas in the car. No
don't
podcast.
panic.
No banana. No.
Right, let's get talking about what we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Because we're at a new time, so we're not going to have so many people with us live. So
You don't know that.
you never. Well, yeah, you never know, but. We will still ask for catch-up people to put things in the comments as well.
Favorite fruit.
And we'll just catch up with them later, which will be nice. Super duper. Okie dokie. So, how long is it going to take for your dog to stop overreacting? And that is
stop.
Big question, to stop overreacting. Did I say start?
I wasn't sure.
I can only apologise. Sue, hi, lovely to see you.
Sue.
This time will probably suit you a smidge better, won't it? So that's pretty cool. No, but how long is it going to take is the big question, isn't it? Because everybody wants a super quick fix, don't they?
Yeah. And the answer to that is actually super easy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is. Don't know. Lisa's on! Lisa and Mumrick. Yes! How are you over there in Tokyo? I am watching the current sumo tournament in Tokyo, as you'll be, as you can imagine. I do like a bit of sumo. So yeah, it's definitely on the bucket list to go over. Ah dear. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Right, where were we? So yeah, that's the big question. So how long will it take, Barbara?
It depends.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. But let's kind of unpack it a little bit.
Okay.
As to why that question's so important and why it's quite exhausting. So
Because, I mean, reactivity can be really exhausting, isn't it?
yeah,
Like all the, you've got to always check, that your dog is cool, stays cool, depending where you go, and it's often so unpredictable, or at least it feels very unpredictable.
yeah.
And so, it's absolutely understandable that, people want to wonder why, how long is this going to take?
You just want a
And
solution now, don't you? Like
yeah,
this needs to stop now because it's absolutely doing my head in and
yeah.
driving me up the wall. So
And it's super
what's
understandable. I think
yeah,
we've all been there, right? And we've all had moments, when I mean, even us, when shit happens and it's like, oh, really? We
exactly.
still, whenever,
And there's
totally
that
understand
kind of
that.
uncertainty as well, isn't there? You want that certainty in an uncertain world of
Mm.
if you know when it will be sorted, then you know that there's going to be an endpoint and that it will be sorted. So there's that bit as well, isn't there? I
There's a
think
lot,
that's
yeah,
yeah,
totally. Uncertainty is such a hard thing to deal with. And there's so much of it in reactivity. And there's so many emotions, right, that are linked with it.
yes,
So I think that, it's actually not so much about the how long, there's so many layers to this. I think there are, what is the real question? When somebody asks, when you think about it, how much longer is this going to take? What's the real question that's under there?
Are you asking me or are you asking everybody else?
I'm asking everyone, but I'm asking us too. Like,
LJ's come and Sue, I don't know, when I bobbed into the emails, Sue wrote us an email that she had a horrible experience yesterday and was totally in the red. So hopefully we'll be able to give you a little bit of a boost today.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
just past
Hey,
7 o'clock
LJ.
for LJ, but she's here anyway. Good on you.
7 a.m. in the morning. I hope you've got your coffee or your tea and you're
Exactly.
snuggled up nicely here with Bodhi. Is this before your walk, before your daily outing?
So
Yeah, so
the real question, what is the
yeah.
real question when we're asked? I suppose part of the real question is this something that I can do? Will this ever end? Will I ever be able to take my dog out? Or when will I be able to take my dog out for walks and actually enjoy them?
Oh. So everyone who's on the live now and those of you in the replay, just think for a moment. If this ever comes up or has come up for you in the past, what is the real question? What is it that you're really worried about
Yeah,
when you're wondering how long it's going to take? So there's something to ponder. Because, the thing about the how long is it going to take is really a very important question in many ways, right?
yeah,
And it comes up because we're tired or we feel judged. And as you said before, Julia, because we want certainty.
yeah,
Right? But if we, so I mean, we could do that, right? We could give you sort of the feeling of a piece of certainty and say, come train with us 6 weeks, 12 months, whatever, right?
yeah.
Random
We will
number of
fix
time.
you within 3 months.
And
It'll
then
be
you'll
great.
feel, your dog will be fixed or your problem will be gone. But what would that really do, Julia?
Well, it puts everything under so much pressure, doesn't it? It's like you said, right, I'm going to fix this by the end of August. So I've got 3 and a bit months to do it. Once I get to well, actually, if it was me, I'd get to June, so a couple of weeks. Oh no, I've only got 3 months left to go. Right, can I do this? And I'd be constantly trying to break it down in my head. That's ADHD brain, isn't it? That really is. And then I would realize actually that something had got in the way. Somebody been ill, or I'd been ill, or my dog's, Dash is having teeth out next week. Little things like that really get in the way, and then I feel like I've gone off track, and then I blame myself and go, right, I'm never going to do it now, because if I can't do it in 3 months, it's never going to blooming happen. And then I get to the end of the 3 months and I feel like a failure because my dog
That's
still
the
has
thing.
reactions.
Exactly. And then
Yeah,
we also, tempted to do too much, do more, to catch up. And
yeah,
those of us who do sports with their dogs, we all feel that, right? There is always a point where, even though you know better, but the little voice comes in like, my dog is now at this age, they should be this far, or we've been practicing, or we've been competing this long, we should be that far, blah, 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 right? So,
exactly.
you
And
know,
but as Lisa said, it is so tempting because it feels hard if you can't see the where the end point is.
yeah.
It just feels like the never-ending slog. So you do sometimes feel like you're in a no-win situation, don't you? It's like, what can we do? What can we do?
So here's a
So,
quick question, guys, while we go ahead. When you first started working on reactivity, did you expect or hope to fix it in something like 3 months? Give us an apple if that's a yes, and a lemon if you never had that sort of thought. So anyone thought that at first, and there is, and it's very, very, it's no judgment here. We're just wondering. Now, when you first started, did you think that that's something that you can deal with 3 months and then it should be gone? Yes is an apple and no is a lemon.
yeah, I've just popped the emojis in. I don't know, can you copy and paste them in?
I can copy and paste them in while you go ahead with the.
I just thought I'd pop them in so that they're there.
Yeah,
If
no, I
anybody
can do
need
that,
them.
not a problem.
So yeah, Lisa had an apple, but maybe closer to half a year or something. Okay. Sue did, yes. Barbara, you had a lemon.
No, and I'm just putting them in there
Got you.
for you.
So LJ
I
says, we
don't
enjoy
know.
our
I
walks.
can't
I
even
just choose
remember.
our environments very carefully, pay attention, adjust accordingly. No expectations, no judgments. And that is the way forward. That is 100%
Yeah,
the way
that is
forward.
exactly how you want to do it. But for most of us, it's a process to get there, isn't it?
Exactly
Mm.
that.
And I'm pretty sure Sue, with the meltdown, you know, we just think, like any behavior, we can build new behavior or correct it, if you come from an older framework, we think it's something that we need to correct. And it's just training, you start, you get through it. But there's so many elements that come into play, right? And that influence and shape the progress that we make. So
Exactly.
we pulled out a few for you just to mention. There's genetics and breed traits, right? There's history, trauma that's happened, health and pain, environment, and the management or not managing, and then of course how much consistency and practice we put in. So I mean, how does it's not just the genetics of what your dog is, whether your dog is we know that, sorry, I'm a bit like everybody's chewing here, chomp 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 chomp. We know that reactivity can be passed on, right? But then there's also the breed tendencies.
Yeah.
How do they influence reactivity? How do they layer into it, Julia?
The breed, well, it depends on, it all depends on if you think about what your dog has been bred to do, what their job is, and then how that fits in with the world that they're in. It's sometimes there's a little bit of a mismatch, isn't there?
Yeah.
So say you've got border collies are a great example, aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
border collies they've been bred to do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, but if we keep it the most basic, it's those herding tendencies. They want to keep their flock nice and safe and make the scary things go away. They also want to keep everything together, like all the flock needs to be together along with their, everything else. So those kind of breed traits, you tend to get a dog that can be a little bit guardy, because they want to protect against the fox or whatever else. You also have a dog that's quite herdy and tries to keep everybody together, and that can look like a bit of reactivity and even sort of nipping sort of behavior
All
for
right.
those sorts
Well, I
of
mean, it's
dogs.
if you can even be super specific, right? Because of what they were bred for, they're very sensitive.
Yes,
So you might, because they need to notice, they need to react to the human, they need
that's a
to to
really
the
good
handler,
point.
they need to
Actually, they
react to
they
the
see
environment.
everything, don't they?
Exactly. And
Mm,
they're very motion sensitive often. It can be very sound sensitive, motion sensitive, they chase, right? So, I mean, if you don't realize what you're in for, and if these tendencies are very strong in a particular dog, that can easily create completely over the top behavior. The nipping, right? People think this dog's aggressive, he bites, right?
mm,
When it's not really fair to judge the dog because they were bred to do all
mm.
these things,
They're a
right? But that's
herding
part of
breed, any
their,
type.
yeah,
Corgis, they're a absolute bugger for it,
yeah,
aren't they?
same
Nipping
thing. And then
ankles.
and then you get guard dogs, right?
Absolutely.
They're supposed to, you know, be guardy.
So they
And
are.
and a lot of dogs that have been bred for work are very sensitive, right?
Mm,
Hunting dogs, they're very sensitive because otherwise you couldn't have all that subtle communication and that brilliant teamwork between the dog and the human. You couldn't have that,
exactly.
right? And they all also need a lot of outlet for their energy. They're very energetic dogs, because they're bred to work. So if we can't give terriers, right, all that digging and going under and chasing, vermin and whatever, if they can't do that now in a normal pet life, then of course it's like on top of them wanting naturally to do these things, you're also creating a bit of a pressure pot scenario, isn't it?
Exactly that.
Dog wants to do stuff, gets into trouble for doing the stuff, and then it escalates. And then there's, of
Exactly.
course, past trauma, right? Or a history of bad experiences. And then again, that creates response behavior in the dogs. And then depending on how long and how um, intensely that's been going on, that behavior will get also stronger and stronger, right?
Yeah. It's that
Because that sort
rehearsal,
of
isn't it?
stress exactly creates emotions on the one hand. The dog doesn't feel safe, right? But it creates a very specific kind of learning in a way, right? Because it's based in bad experiences. The dog will be pessimistic, not feeling safe, go to all those sort of defensive behavior patterns very easily. That will be their first choice.
Exactly, and that kind of feeds into what you're saying, LJ, about Bodhi, because it's about how he's feeling at the time that fuels the behaviour, of course. But you've also said you build a history of good experiences together, and his confidence and optimism grow, and he's more curious than worried. And that's exactly what Barbara's saying. It's that history of, it's about, when we're looking to work with our dog, we're creating a good history that then overcomes the bad history, and that's
Yeah,
crucial.
exactly.
So yeah, and the other piece, of course, is health and pain, which is massive, as we keep saying, and having an idea, I think, of with your breed type, what any particular health conditions that they are susceptible to is really useful, because that can then it's something that if there's a change or you think they're getting worse and you can't see a reason why, it's something that you can then start looking towards. Is that a thing? So things like Staffordshire Bull Terriers and skin problems,
Yeah.
dachshunds and back problems.
Yeah.
What else have we got that are German Shepherds with their hips? There's so
Mm.
heart problems with your Cavalier King Charles Spaniel.
Mm.
There's so
And
many.
yeah, and something that I see a lot with those energetic dogs, the Staffy, from Staffy to any kind of terrier, to the border collie, or but if you have people with energetic dogs tend to want to get them tired.
Yeah,
And then there's a lot of ball throwing and a lot of frisbee playing and stick throwing and so on. And I mean, that's great. I love retrieving. I love to play games with my dogs where they bring me stuff and so on. That's not the problem. The problem is when we're not careful about it and we're
exactly.
tossing objects and our dog is doing sharp turns and landing on their shoulders and doing this. And before you know it, they actually have sore muscles, right? And even maybe a bit of damage. So, and they will hide it, right? When you see them limp, then it's already quite bad.
Exactly.
If
They are so good at hiding
it's,
it, aren't
yeah,
they?
it's part of them, trying to protect themselves so they don't
Yeah.
have,
I
it's
mean, this is, to
so,
be honest with you, this is what's led to Dash's having to go and have his teeth out next week. Is just because he was a bit on edge. He needed to have his vaccinations anyway. So I just asked them and his breath smelt as well, actually, to be fair. So I said, can you just check in his mouth, see if he needs anything done? Because I think there's something not quite right. And that she's found, two teeth that definitely need to come out. And that will
mm,
be causing him discomfort. And because he's such a
mm,
lovely boy, he doesn't say.
yeah,
Because he's
well, that's
really brave and
cool.
stoic. Hattie is less stoic, aren't you, Hat? She's just come in.
Yeah.
She's snuck in behind me.
Yeah. And then another factor is, of course, the environment. Right now, we have a sensitive dog, or a
Yep.
dog that has some pain issues, or a dog that has been traumatized previously. So now, the environment, we can't control the environment at all times, right? We never know what's around the next corner. We don't know when, those dogs with high prey drive. We don't know when there's wildlife. So can we never go into the woods? Can we never go hiking where other people go? Of course, that's what we want, right? We want to be able to take our dogs into these environments. And for most dogs, that's absolutely a brilliant goal. But in order to be able to do that, we have to use management to varying degrees. It depends on each dog. The kind of management and how much management depends on the environment and also on what the dog needs. And a lot of the time, you might not be able to say how long does it take to fix reactivity, but management is brilliant. It's
Yeah.
like a miracle because management gives you back some measure of control, and because it allows you to set your dog up for success, protect them from the triggers, you get relief almost instantly. So while we can never, when people come to us, to work with that, we can never guarantee them how long it's going to take before their dog will never react to a certain trigger. I can't tell you that. But what Julie and I can help you with is get instant relief through appropriate and mm,
And of
what do you call
course,
intelligent management. Yeah.
yeah, it links back, doesn't it, to that history part? Because
Mm,
everything that you do today is creating a new history so that your history can then be of positive experiences, those green zone experiences, which
mm,
then outweigh the red zone stuff. So it is actually doing something really
mm.
positive and practical.
And it makes me think a little bit, to talk about rehearsals. We need to prevent the rehearsals and we want to stack progress and not problems and so on. But it can also create pressure on us again, right? Like, oh darn, now we had a negative experience again, or our dog was now in the red, or they got, pushed over threshold. And in hindsight, it's
It
always easy to
happens
say, oh,
so.
I should have done this, that, and the other.
Mm,
But it happened. It
mm.
reminds me a bit of in my Buddhist circle when we talk about karma, right? And which is like cause, basically the network of cause and effect that drives everything, all our experiences and basically the universe. Everything is kind of connected through cause and effect. And if I make bad causes, I reap the results, right? So you can get into this sort of like, you know, because we cannot wipe out everything. We cannot
No,
undo
it's
the entire
impossible.
history. Of course, there will be accidents because nobody's perfect. The dogs aren't machines. We are not machines. And then it's really important not to get totally stressed out. Okay, shit happened. Fine. Tomorrow is another
Move
day.
on.
Give the dog a reset. We learn from it. Maybe there is a lesson in there, something that we can do differently next time. Maybe that was totally, maybe not. Well, then, shit happens. So we have to move on. We have to give ourselves grace, and the dog,
It's
and
about
we put
balance,
them in
though,
a
isn't it?
reset.
That's the
Yeah,
key because
totally.
it's inevitable that things are going to go wrong. But if you're making sure that things are going right most of the time, if you're doing
Yeah.
your best, so things are going right most of the time, then that gives you that balance so that the good is outweighing the bad. And that's what we need.
And it's not exactly, and it's not only about preventing the rehearsals. That's a big part of the puzzle.
True
Yes.
enough.
And for some dogs and for some families, no, that's the biggest part of the puzzle. Yes. But not for every dog, right? What is also really, really big is that we then, while we're doing the management, we actually work on building the dog's optimism, building confidence for the dog and for ourselves and grow it, so that we can be a
Definitely.
better team and can have each other's backs and that, both the dog's bucket gets bigger and also our ability to control our own emotions because that we didn't even list that here, no? Because they also play in. So all those things are also, so sometimes, we might have a negative rehearsal and be like, to bang my head against the wall somewhere. Why was I so stupid? Happens to me a lot. But because we also work on lots of training away from the triggers, where we build confidence, where we create lots of value for certain behaviors, so the dog is able to do this no matter what is always the goal, but we increase the likelihood of the dog being able to respond even in tricky situations. But we're not testing it constantly, right? Because if we test it constantly, then we just create more frustration and more negative expectation in our dogs. So consistently practicing when our dogs are in the green, right? That's
Absolutely.
really the ticket, isn't it? So that they can feel
Keeping
good
things
about themselves,
boring.
about doing things right. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's in the boring moments. Success is built in boring moments, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really, I love that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, keep it boring.
Right. Okay, so now we want to hear from you guys. Which of these 5 factors is
Try writing them
currently
in.
having the biggest impact for you and your dog? Which of these 5 factors is currently having the biggest impact
I'm
for
just
you and your
writing them
dog?
in so people don't have to remember.
Okay, oh, that's cunning. Great, Mobile. Do that. You're a star. And then we can maybe talk a little bit about progress, right? Because the question of how long does it take, it's all about recognizing progress, isn't it?
Exactly that. Exactly that. Oh, hang on. I've just put, oh, I'm such a fool. I just put my comment in the search thing for emojis, which wasn't very helpful.
Woo! What
Right.
emoji did you get for that?
It just held its hands up in despair at my stupidity and then told me to go away. So that's what I did.
Yeah. So when it comes to progress, right, it's not about our dog being fixed. It's really
Yes.
about them showing you that you're on the right path, right? It's the small wins. You really have to zone into them and zoom into them and emphasize them. You have to tell each other. I think I mentioned this on a live before when we were so struggling with the 2 boys, them to get on,
Yeah.
so preventing fights and things like that, but also just wanting to be able to just relax. And then I was, how long is it going to take before I can sit on the couch in the living room and watch something without having to worry about my two dogs? Right? And that now it is like that. Now it is like that. But for the longest time, I was super tense, always looking, what's the body language like? Are they going to break into a fight? Da 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 da. And it was always John, it was always my husband who was the one that would point out, look at this. A couple of weeks ago, we weren't able to do this. Look at that. Not so long ago, that was impossible. It was tiny little changes,
Yeah.
but he
It
would point
can
them
really
out
help
to me.
having someone on the outside as well, can't it?
Mm. And it was so, so good. And I mean, other things that you can do is journal, right? You can journal
Good
this stuff.
idea.
Because I always say it's like dreaming. If you don't immediately tell somebody, if you're not articulating it, the dream just disappears. So you have to either tell somebody, have somebody that you can talk about it to, like us. Put it, pop into the Facebook group and just put it in the make a little post. Or today, this happened. And it doesn't have to be a mega big thing. A small one. In fact, those are more valuable because the more of those small wins you post, the more another person starts recognizing and really valuing their small wins.
It'd be good if everybody could post, a
Mm,
small win at
yeah.
least this
And
week,
that's things
just to
like,
share.
shorter reaction. So your dog explodes, but then it's much quicker to come down again, right? And so your recovery, so the intensity of the reaction, how long it takes for them to recover, more check-ins on a walk, just watching them a little bit closer. There's lots of things that you might see.
And it could
And
be about how you feel as well. I mean, those
oh
wins
yeah, 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 yeah.
about, your own nervous system response,
We had a thing, if I may share something.
please.
So my biggest, or yeah, one of my big challenges at the moment, you've heard me talk about the bicycles, in the dunes. So this morning we're out and I said to John, I'm so much calmer these days about Falky. I'm not like watching him all the time. Is he gonna get too aroused? Is he running too much? And that brings arousal up. Does he need to go in the lead now? Da, da, da. I was away for a bit, as you know, and came back. John been handling, taking him out and so on. And he's been so good. And then not that we didn't have a couple of incidents with the dreaded bikes, but this morning was really funny. So I said this to John and I could really feel it. I'm really much more relaxed. And he pointed out that, yeah, and the more relaxed you are, the better he behaves. It was the same when the two dogs weren't getting on and so on. And we walk along, and it's almost so towards the end of the walk, we normally bring out the lead. And then I said, oh, there's a bicycle. It was so far. John hadn't even seen it yet, neither had the dogs. So John says, oh, we better put him on the lead. And it was around the place anyways. But John had also pointed out to me I don't know, a couple of weeks ago that last recall, when I want to put him on the lead, when I'm thinking, okay, this is not dangerous territory, he needs to go on the lead now, he says that always sounds different. I hadn't even noticed.
Really?
And so I was taking a breath and delaying it a little bit, trying to maintain that calm, so that he wouldn't immediately be alerted. You're calling me now differently. Is there something? And then sees the bike. So I
Mm,
waited too long. I waited too long. And then I called, and then he didn't immediately come. And then we were on top of the crest of the dune, and then he saw that bike, in the distance.
yeah,
And off he went. It was so ironic. I just declared I'm so much more relaxed with this dog. But you know what? I stayed relaxed. I stayed relaxed because what's
amazing.
the worst that can happen? Well, he runs out all the way to the bicycle, and I don't love this part, Stevie follows him because Stevie
Okay.
chases him then, right? And when he runs really fast and she chases him, then she won't recall off. So, but she hung back a little, and he was back and forth a bit, not immediately all the way out to the bicycle. Eventually, he caught up with the cycle. Of course, they were coming towards us and running with the bicycle. By then, Stevie had come back to us. Now I was with us, and then I came really close, and then now I went out to them, but it was really not that bad. He's just herding the bicycle, but he's not biking, he's not nipping or anything. And then she just came in and stopped, and we collected our dog, and and she's like, oh yeah, and I said, yeah, it's just like she said something like he doesn't, he's actually quite good, whatever. And I said, yeah, it's just that they lose their heads. And she says, yeah, she noticed he was trying to hurt her. So he's
Yeah.
got the bicycle. So and then we leashed him and we moved back. And the whole time, and then as we moved back to the car, I'm like, I still had that this was a really nice walk feeling and not the was another rehearsal setting us back a million years or anything like that. I'm trying to let go of this. Shit happens, guys.
And
Right?
that's the thing though, isn't it? Because sometimes, you notice those little wins and then you get to that stage and you think, actually, I'm not making any progress anymore. Or sometimes you feel like you're going backwards, but that's normal and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, it, it's a great time just to sit back and think, right, is there anything that I can tweak? What can I do a little bit differently? Is there another management technique that would help me here to get more of that consistency in that green zone? Is there anything like that that I could do? Is it something that's going on outside my relationship with me and the dog? Is there something that's stressing me out, something that's stressing them out,
Yeah, that's
kind of
very,
thing?
very important to
That
have a
can
look at
really,
that.
really help
Yes, yes.
because the next
And
thing you know, you'll be going up again.
yeah, no, totally. And I mean, last time I think I spoke about with Falky and the bicycles net and the downs because the problem is not so much I can't blame him for running out to a bicycle. We don't see them all the time. One thing out there, that's the border collie. That thing is odd.
Yeah,
That triggers all those programs. So don't really blame him for that, but I definitely need to work not harder on my recall. If I don't, I have definitely no chance. But of course, I'm not practicing it while he's chasing bicycles, right?
no.
It's just like more of that, okay, maybe I can do some more on that. And then also those downs, right? Down, go up, collar grab, and give him a high value cookie. And today I did that afterwards. So we have him back, right? And we're walking out, and of course the dog is still high and pumped. And then
Yeah,
I just asked for quick downs, right? Because can you do that now? Because what you want to do is you want to chase the bicycle. And a couple months ago, it would have been a dog, pulling and straining on the leash. I want to go after this bike. I want to go after this bike. And now it was a dog that could respond. Sure, he was on the lead now. Of course, it's not the same, but that's not the point. The point is remember, consistency and practice. And if we feel that we're on a plateau and things are going backwards even, then we just have to revisit. What is it we're currently doing? Because what often happens is we get to a place, oh, we made some progress. This is not so bad anymore. And then we slacken,
yeah, that's
right?
true. We forget the
Life
basic things that made
happens.
the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We either
yeah,
don't do the practice session so much, or we're not as vigilant with our, like I was today, with our management. John says to me, why didn't you call him immediately? So, oh yeah, because I
because
thought
I'm
of
an
what you said the
idiot.
other day. I wanted to be in a good frame, right? It was a bit bullshit. I mean, it was stupid. It was really what I was thinking at the time, but it was stupid. It was really,
Yeah,
really stupid. Hey,
we've had a
hey.
few comments on, so
Yeah, let's
there's
have a look.
lots of people struggling with the environment, which does it makes perfect sense because the environment is something that, it's it feels a little bit out of your control sometimes, even though we can put in management 100%. Um, so yeah, Anne says environment and consistency. LJ still finding busy and built up environments challenging. Both of you do. That's not a coincidence, is it, LJ? Um, so yeah, and similarly for Lisa with Mumrick, the environment feels like one of the biggest, even if all of them are important. Um, and Sue's had a really good walk after her little bit of a nightmare that she had the other day. So well done, Sue. And I'm glad you're starting to feel a little bit better. That's brilliant. Really, really good. So yeah, they are all important. You're right, Lisa. But sometimes you just hone in on one and think this is the one that makes things really tricky. Can I just ask, can anybody hear Hattie snoring?
No.
She's literally behind my chair, snoring her little head off. She's like a little train. Love her. Aren't you, sweetie? Yeah. She might come and say hello in a minute. Brilliant. So, what are we going to do to try and stay on track and get out of, if you feel like you're on that plateau and you feel it's never going to be over? What can we do to kind of keep that progress in the right direction? So, journals we've spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
Videos, if you're more person that prefers to do video diaries, do that. A simple tick sheet, or you could do yourself a little star chart. I love a star chart for your dog
Mm.
or for you or for your partnership. So you could have your red, amber, greens, and was it a red day, an amber day, or a green day? And then you can start see the pattern as it gets greener and greener. That's quite a nice one.
Yeah.
Keep it really simple.
Yeah.
Little sheets. Oops, read little sheets of small wins are good.
Yeah.
What else could we do?
So it depends I mean, it's always good to track, right? And you have to find a format that works for you.
Yeah,
So another one, I mean, some people like to just create a Facebook page. And then you don't have to share that with anybody, right?
no,
You can just have it just for you. And then or there's other ways, or on a WhatsApp chat or something just for yourself where you can either do voice notes or even video,
yeah,
either your own video log, where you just tell, so you can capture, the energy and the beaming, wow, we had such a good walk, or I'm so chuffed because, it could have gone this way, but it went that way, whatever, right? And then you can go back and reconnect with those emotions when things aren't feeling so good.
yeah. You can even, you can put things into our group, regular little
You could
updates
even
of
do
how
that,
things have done.
yes.
You can, and then you've got your cheer squad behind you, and we really like
Yes,
seeing your progress. So
yes.
so when people write that things have gone really well, that's brilliant, and it gives the rest of you hope as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
So, what do you guys do? How do you know that your dog's making progress? What is it that
yeah,
you look
what are you
for?
looking for? Have you just woken up? Yeah.
Put it in the chat. Right. So there is no single timeline, right?
No, that's the
Everybody's got their own,
overarching thing, isn't it?
yeah, and everybody's on their own journey with their own timeline, but your timeline is absolutely valid. So keep reminding yourselves of that. And you will create lasting change. All it takes is compassion for yourself, compassion for your dog, right? And keep at it, right?
Yeah,
Compassion and
absolutely.
consistency, right? And always, always focus on confidence building, right? Don't try um to get there too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big mistake, isn't it, that people make is trying to do too much too soon.
Mm.
Um, but
So,
also celebrate yourself, if you're just for keeping at it, just for keeping going, keep celebrating that because so many people will give up. Um, you're also welcome, of course, to go onto the website, have a look at the Finding Your Footing course, which is a really nice starting point. Well, for some people, it's all they're going to need for their reactivity.
yeah.
So do feel free to check that out. I'll bob a quick.
Yeah, sometimes it really helps to have a structured approach, right? Know exactly what to do every day, work on all the layers because there's so many moving pieces, to dealing with reactivity from the emotions, what kind of training, the health aspects, the safety aspects, back to how's your dog feeling, how are you feeling, then it can feel very overwhelming very quickly and we kind of lose a little bit track of, what we need to do next or what we need to do today. So if you want support with this and if you want a structured framework, then come and check it out.
Please
That's what
do.
it's there for. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Brilliant. Has anybody
Cool.
got any questions before we go? So we're just looking at the comments. LJ said more curiosity and quicker recovery time is how I notice
Nice.
Boody's continued progress. Those are both brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I like that curiosity because getting that kind of looking for stuff coming to the forefront rather than vigilance, which is different. It's a different sort of looking for stuff, isn't it? It's the kind of a, oh, I'm just going to have a little fossick around here.
Cool. Okay. So then I want to leave you with
Lisa's
one
just
more.
put a quick comment.
Oh, cool. I just
Being
opened.
able to sleep throughout the night and for longer during the day. Yes, that's a biggie, isn't it? If his sleep gets interrupted, he can settle down faster, and
Ah,
that's
well
that's
done.
a much
Well
calmer dog if that's
done.
happening, isn't it? It's a generally
Is he
more
back to
improved
being a
dog.
single dog,
That's a very
Lisa?
good
Is the
question.
puppy still
How many
around?
dogs have you got at the moment?
So, and then I just wanted to leave you guys, or we wanted to leave you with a thought. Going well when they respond to me quickly, says Anne.
Yeah,
So, what's one thing that you're going to reframe this week about yours and your dog's progress? And you can put that in the chat here, or you can do a little post in the Facebook group,
preferably
whatever
Facebook
works,
group. That would be
especially
nice.
you guys watching on replay. Just pop a little post and let us know the one thing that you're going to reframe this week about that you want to address differently about progress, yours and your dogs. We are very
Brilliant. Now,
cool.
next week we're going to be going live on Monday, the same time. It's a bank holiday here in the UK, so that's where we're going to be seeing how that works for next week.
Puppy is still staying with Lisa and Momrick and her husband.
But that's a different story. Oh, Sue, have you
So,
lost the other people's comments? I don't know what that's about. That's too hard for me to understand.
yeah, I don't know. I see yours now.
Yeah.
So, ooh, Lisa, I just hope it's not going to end up as a foster fail, hey?
Dash is a foster fail. He was originally on foster, so
Anyway, let's not go there.
I know.
Okay, thanks.
See you next week.
Yeah, next week is going to be same time, but on Monday, right?
That's right, yes.
So,
Same time, but on Monday.
yeah, we need to do something about our banner. So we're just trying a few things, and then you guys can let us know what's working. So we love it that we had some new people for who the time is obviously better, and then some Monday, and then some of you like LG joining us early in the morning. Thank you for that.
Yes, that
And
means a lot.
hope to see you then next Monday. What a way to start the week, hey?
I know. See you guys then.
Okay, bye.
Have a lovely week.